Hello and welcome to On Board, brought to you by Cruise Passenger. I'm Rose Kelly, your host.
And I'm Peter Lynch, Editor-in-Chief of cruisepassenger.com.au and Cruise and Travel Luxury Magazine.
Now, today's show is all about exploration and adventure. In case you haven't heard, this is the fastest growing sector of cruise.
Up 70% according to the cruise industry, as we all search for unique, sustainable experiences close to nature.
Very true indeed. And of course, we all want to do this in luxury.
Yes, we want to see the Arctic or Antarctica, but in comfort. We want to see wildlife and beauty with a glass of champagne and caviar and blinis.
Slight exaggeration there, Peter, do you think?
Not at all. I was on board the Commandant Charcot, Quark Expeditions luxury icebreaker. Just want to repeat that. Luxury icebreaker. But you can do exactly that. I was on board this technological marvel that pushes its bows above the ice in Antarctic and then smashes it down.
Wow.
And dinner was superb, and champagne and blinis were the entree.
Well, okay, point made. Sounds wonderful, but I would say it's definitely not the norm, is it, Peter?
Well, Rose, I think what most would agree is that adventure and expedition cruising has moved a long way from where it was 2 decades ago, when Russian icebreakers were the most common charter and you were treated very basically. Yes, adventure and expedition cruise ships come in all shapes and sizes, but thankfully today, all of them are comfortable, safe, and exciting.
And I know that you, in particular, Peter, you love it. So let's start exploring.
I have a funny feeling this is going to be an adventure.
I have a funny feeling you're right, Peter. Our TV shows are always an adventure, but grab your binoculars. Here we go.
The most recent edition of our Cruise and Travel magazine has a free 20-page adventure guide inside. In fact, you can see it over there.
Ah.
It was supported by Viking, Crystal, Aurora, Expeditions, Quark Expeditions and Scenic Eclipse Discovery Yachts.
Yes, and I have been reading that. You can find it online at issue.com, and the theme is an interesting one too. It's about both hot and cold expeditions.
Exactly. Most people think expeditions are all about the ice, and it's true. My trip to Antarctica aboard Viking Polaris is one of my all-time favourites.
You're such a show-off. Very jealous.
I am. But adventures and expeditions are really about getting off the beaten track in destinations that are truly unique. So a cruise to the lagoons of Tahiti on Pool Gauguin is an adventure. And a trip along the northern Brahmaputra River in India in search of tigers, only for photographs, is still an expedition.
Both of those sound pretty hot too.
They were.
Yes.
Few, yes. Here's me kissing a stingray in Polynesia. You can't get more adventurous than that.
It is 7-7.
My first kiss.
His first kiss with a stingray.
Very amorous, Peter. Yes, so really, adventure and expedition, it can certainly mean different things to different travellers.
Yes, Rose, but today several factors are feeding the growth of this type of holiday, which explains why it is so popular.
Up 70%
Yes.
year on year, in fact.
Spot on, Rose. So the idea of over-tourism and the desire for sustainable travel with purpose is really driving this growth. Millennials, for example, are seeking off-the-grid remote locations, smaller ships and rare finds. And it's a growing desire among every traveller.
In fact, Cruise Lines International Association Chief Joel Katz says travellers are hungry for unspoilt locations and cultural authenticity.
Absolutely. But getting off the beaten track means looking for something different and not going where everyone else is going.
But now, soft adventure cruising, people who want to see and photograph the polar bears can do so with a glass of champagne in hand and from a safe distance. So that sounds like me.
Yes, Rose, a warm deck chair and a fluffy blanket is always going to be appealing on any expedition.
I think for me, expedition is about getting outside of my comfort zone and being as close to the experience as possible. Remember, I'm obsessed with ice baths baths and alpine hikes, Peter. I love adventure. So I will be exploring those real deal expedition style itineraries and daring to go where no petite Aussie single mum has gone before.
Well, no matter what style of expedition cruising you like, I feel fairly confident today's episode is going to give you plenty to explore.
And one of our important partners in this podcast is Scenic, whose Discovery yachts were the first of their kind. Scenic Eclipse 1 and 2 are still pioneers with submersibles and helicopters, as well as ultra-luxury restaurants, wellness experiences and stunning interiors.
They are remarkable. Here's a few things we love about the Scenic Eclipse expedition style of cruising. For me, I admire the way the Discovery yachts are pushing forward tech-savvy advancements. They come with a Polar Cruise 6 rating and a state-of-the-art technology and design.
And I love the expert Discovery team. Specialists who know their stuff and have vast experience, led by Jason Flesher, who's been to Antarctica over 100 times. With only up to 228 guests, or 200 in Antarctica and the Arctic, guests will experience daily shore landings and enjoy truly all-inclusive scenic Discovery excursions by Zodiac, kayaks and stand-up paddle boards led by an expert Discovery team.
I've seen them on Warner Brothers' Discovery docuseries Maritime Masters, Expedition Antarctica, and they certainly are the coolest crew around. And I know what you mean about leading the way. I was told they use their helicopter scouts for the best locations to find whales and other wildlife in Antarctica, the WA coastline and in the Kimberley to make sure guests get the most out of their experiences.
Now, guests with Scenic can also gain amazing insights into their destinations with Discovery excursions. Expert Discovery teams of up to 20 marine biologists, historians, geologists, naturalists and local guides who share their knowledge and regional expertise. You can cruise on Zodiacs and kayaks and the stand-up paddle boards around the ice formations in Antarctica or go on nature walks through the Arctic tundra under their expert guidance.
Another feature I love that's emerging with Scenic is that they're combining discovery with wellness and rejuvenation. What haven't they thought of?
Oh, it's one of my favourite parts. The good news is some of the next big trending destinations for these wellness journeys are a little closer to home, like Polynesia, Indonesia, as well as places like Brazil and the Caribbean. So it's not just all about the activities on board, it's about the incredible destinations and shore excursions available there. As we've said, the kayaks, but picture it along the stunning West Australian coastline and the incredible hikes in the Arctic.
Absolutely stunning. And I must say, I've done the West Australian coastline and swum with the whale sharks. It is magnificent. Scenic has a stunning video that really describes the highlights of their voyages. And one voyage in particular, which is proving to be in high demand, is the visit to the historic huts in East Antarctica and the Ross Sea.
Now, guests can follow in the footsteps of the great explorers Mawson, Scott and Shackleton to navigate remote bays and coves to uncover historical expedition moments. You can see the preserved huts that remain frozen in time. Here's an insider's look at what this journey involves.
My name is Erwan Lerozic and I'm the captain of Scenic Eclipse. I'm in charge of the 400 souls that we have on board.
Dear guests, good evening. Here is your captain, Captain Erwan from the bridge. So I wish you a wonderful first evening on board.
Wow.
It's always emotional to start a journey.
We have people working 24 hours a day. We have more than 30 different nationalities.
We're going to prep the sub now and then we launch at around 6:30.
I want to make sure that the crew work well together.
Let's go, Nakayo! Quick, quick, quick!
My mission as the captain is to get from San Diego to Antarctica on time and safely. We never know what's going to be ahead of us, surprises and lots of challenges.
I oversee the entire expedition program. The weather and conditions dictate where and what we can do.
Oh my God. I want to make sure that people see cruise ships in a different way.
Flavor is amazing. It's bloody stunning.
Where I say, hey, wow, I never had any food like this on a ship.
I'm gonna head out on a recon flight.
Looks like a good landing site.
The winds are over 15 knots, the seas are too rough.
We have been following the evolution of the hurricane, and it's getting bigger.
We will go for 1B. I'm not entering here.
What you're going to see underwater, nobody has ever seen it here. Nobody ever.
Oh, we got a fish over here.
We say that discovery is a state of mind for us. It's genuine, true emotions.
We did it again.
It's our time to shine, to create wonders.
Welcome to the Le Mer channel.
To go beyond the horizon.
Oh my goodness, how good did that polar plunge look, Peter? I want to do that.
It looks amazing, and I'd be very happy to continue being an observer of those activities from the comfort of my warm blanket and deck chair with a glass of champagne.
Noted. And that's before you depart on your submersible excursion, of course, Peter.
Of course. Now, this video was a wonderful insight into what an expedition cruise looks like in Antarctica, but I want to remind our viewers that this is just one form of cruising with Scenic Eclipse, as the 2 Discovery yachts travel to all 7 continents.
Now, I do have to admit, the time that I did do a flight over Antarctica, we did a live radio cross with Mawson's Hut and the glaciologists who were on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
And it was one of the most awe-inspiring moments of travel that I have ever personally encountered.
I've got to say, Rose, a voyage on Scenic Eclipse 2 along the east coast of Antarctica, including Mawson's Hut, would have to be one of the most spectacular expedition voyages possible, especially because you save the travel time and jet lag by sailing from New Zealand or Hobart.
I hear that's a major draw card. Only 3 more East Antarctica voyages are available from December 2025 through to January 2026 before Scenic Eclipse 2 departs the region, with no new voyages scheduled after these dates. So now is the time to book.
For more information or to book a Scenic Eclipse cruise, visit scenic.com.au or phone 138 128.
Well, from the lap of luxury and rejuvenation, Peter, you may need to put your champagne down for a moment while we get a little more rugged and talk about Quark Expeditions.
The fact that the word expeditions is part of the brand title should tell you that these guys take their expeditions seriously.
Now, Quark Expeditions have been concentrating on polar adventure since 1991, so that's 34 years exploring Antarctica and the Arctic.
And they are always innovating. Take their 2025-26 season. They have a brand new 12-day helicopter, icebergs, mountains and remote lands voyage. It explores inland. We tend to forget that there is more to see inland in both the Arctic and Antarctica than we knew.
Yeah, that's right. Both cover more than 14 million square kilometres. I can't even comprehend that.
That's one big ice block.
On this trip, you will see the Erebus and Terror Gulf.
That sounds scary.
Sounds terrifying. But it has a scary history, Peter. The HMS Terror was an explosive ship converted for Arctic expeditions. It sank, and survivors were believed to have turned to cannibalism.
I'm afraid so, but don't worry. No wonder Quark says it goes where other ships can't, or won't, into uncharted waters.
Well, they have a fleet of 4 ships, but never more than 200 passengers, and they promise the best ratio of guides to guests, with just 6 guests to every guide. They are experts in marine biology, history, glaciology, geology, and more.
Wow.
To help you maximise every step of your polar adventure.
They even have their own training program, the Quark Academy, for their guides.
And despite your story about HMS Terror,
Ooh.
they have brilliant restaurants on board their ships.
Serving normal meals. Glad to hear that, Rose. Quark has an exclusive limited time offer right now on voyages to the Arctic and Antarctica. $2,350 worth of flight credit free.
Oh.
Charter flights and hotel packages to get you to the ship and even free airport lounge priority passes.
I actually love that.
Yes.
That's actually worth $5,500 on top of any market discounts.
Absolutely perfect. Visit quarkexpeditions.com or cruisepassenger.com.au to find out more.
Well, our final partner is coming from yet another angle. It's true that adventure and expedition come in so many different forms. If you're the type of cruiser who wants to get away from the crowds and be part of a small elite team of adventurers and
That's
ahead
me.
of the pack, then you'll certainly like Aurora Expeditions.
They are fabulous, and it's a great Australian story.
That's it. Co-founders Greg Mortimer, a mountaineer awarded the Order of Australia, mind you, for his pioneering work, and his beautiful wife Margaret created the line back in 1991.
Aurora Expeditions was named in honour of Sir Douglas Mawson's ships, and Greg and Margaret wanted to take small groups of travellers on voyages of discovery to inspiring regions.
Now, they believe fewer people means more solitude and greater flexibility of tides, currents, ice, or the weather generally dictate a schedule change. And because there are fewer people to ferry ashore, Aurora often make more landings.
They have 3 ships with revolutionary X-bows,
Ooh.
which look a bit like a giant nose.
Oh, actually, I've seen these. Check this out.
Yes, it really wraps the front of the ship and pierces the waves instead of slamming into them, making for a much smoother journey. Aurora was the first to use them, and now you see them everywhere.
Like the nose right in front of your face. And all the ships are quite small, is that right?
Yes, they launched the Douglas Mawson this year with a capacity of 156 passengers.
And they don't just do the polar regions. There are photographic expeditions to the Greenland solar eclipse, the Antarctic active cruise, even women-only expeditions.
Yes, fantastic. And they include scuba diving, trekking, hiking, skiing, and snowboarding.
I love it. They even go to Scotland, Ireland, Britain, and the Mediterranean.
And my favourites, Indonesia and Borneo.
Oh my
My
goodness.
bucket list destination of the moment is Raja Ampat and those gorgeous islands where whale sharks swim.
And they also sail in Australia and Tasmania and the sub-Antarctic islands.
Yes, and Commonwealth Bay and the fabled Cape Denison. Then onward to Dunedin with a pause to enjoy the ruggedly beautiful New Zealand sub-Antarctic islands, where nesting royal albatross, the endemic yellow-eyed penguin, and lush megaherb meadows await.
That was a mouthful. Well done,
What
Peter.
the- megaherbs.
You're getting quite carried away there.
I do love the idea of small ship cruising, I will
do
confess.
too. It's true. And good news, right now you can get up to 25% off some itineraries. But the downside of small ships is that they do sell out pretty fast.
They do, so hurry. Go to auroraexpeditions.com or cruisepassenger.com.au.
Well, there's lots more in our adventure guide, including Viking's expedition fleet and free flight offers.
Yes, I mean, let's face it, if you're doing the polar plunge, you want to be back on that ship and straight into that sauna without having to wait in a line or plunge any other passengers off the side of the ship to get there.
Remind me not to do the plunge before you.
I
Peter.
won't be doing it.
Okay. But if you do want to do the polar plunge with Aurora Expeditions, or any of their expeditions for that matter, visit auroraexpeditions.com.au and cruisepassenger.com.au.
Well, I've got to say that these 3 different approaches have definitely demonstrated there's more than one way to experience adventure and an expedition.
Couldn't agree more. And more than that, it's pretty obvious why the world of expedition and adventure is such a popular and fast-growing trend in the travel scene. No doubt this is something we will continue to explore ourselves for our listeners right here on the podcast series.
Oh, yes. One of the best ways you can keep discovering the latest news about expedition is to sign up to our newsletter at cruisepassenger.com.au.
And don't forget, our Cruise and Travel magazine has loads of glossy inspiration for you also. You can find it at your local newsagent or subscribe online, cruisepassenger.com.au/magazine for just $5 an edition.
And thanks again to all our cruise partners who have joined us today.
And thank you to you, our loyal cruise viewers who share our passion for cruise.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.